Okay, it's been a couple of days. I have a good idea of what I want to talk about today as it's prevalent in my life and probably a lot of yours unless you're very successful already. Today, I wanted to talk about how you thinking about your future is likely ruining your life. Let me explain. I have a lot of people in my life, and this has actually been a problem with my life as well, where I think so much about where I want to get to that I actually end up spending more time thinking about my success than actually acting. And even if you acted and failed, you learn more lessons you do than strategizing. And so, too many people are aiming their catapult instead of just, you know, getting shots out and continuing to get more out. And you learn more about, where it's going to go if you actually let go than if you are constantly aiming. And so this has come up in situations like somebody works a 9 to 5 and they finally get some free time for themselves. And they go somewhere to think about their future instead of thinking about it lightly and then being in attack mode those few hours they get and actually acting. So like they think that they're actually making progress by thinking, and it's actually just coping. So they get dopamine by, imagining where they'll get to instead of actually getting the experience they need to get there. And over years, this slowly adds up to regret of time and people not utilizing their time properly. And the most successful people I know that I'm friends with and whatever that I see online and studied are people who have made their generic actions in their life progress. So I was talking to my buddy on Discord the other day. We were talking about Mr. Beast, obviously a normal example, like fucking biggest YouTuber in the world. But we were actually analyzing it. His fifth channel, his gaming channel, his free time where me and you fuck around and just watch shit, me and you would just doom scroll on Instagram, he is making a video for a channel. Obviously, he has the money now to have editors and all that stuff. But that shows you how far behind you are on the scale. So he's not even fucking around, and he has all these people. And obviously, it's easier once you have systems. But that shows you're behind, and you need to get to where that's at, that level of success. And to do that, all your actions have to be, like a snowball rolling down a hill, and it's just, constant. And so his fuck around actions are making a video for a channel that probably has like 50 million subscribers, as compared to somebody like us who our free time is coping and using it to doom scroll and fucking God knows what, hang out with your friends for like the 5th time this week. So that would be a great example of how people they can't face the discomfort of their daily routine. Like they get stuck in this routine where they want to be comfortable and procrastinate what they've always wanted because part of them feels that they're not ready yet. But getting there is acting when you're not ready. And that's where you actually learn the most. How can I create something on the day where I feel like shit or I don't want to? Discipline. Basic discipline. But not just that, not just those basic actions. A lot of people, so I wrote down notes. They care too much about where it's going to lead to as opposed to viewing it as an experience. So many people and this doesn't even go for content creators. This goes for if you own a business or whatever. Too many people are focused on where it could lead to as opposed to viewing it as experiences, and they're way more attached to that because of that. They have this grand vision, right? This this ominous aura in their head of this is where it all could lead to, and they're so attached to moments on the journey instead of just viewing them as experiences and seeing where it goes. So they think that if they're not going to get to this soon, they think that they're failing, and that's why they have this form of attachment, and they need to be more detached from the outcome. And so yeah, detachment is a huge part of progress. You need to just learn to act and not care about failing, and just don't even care about being cringe, feeling cringe if it's a waste of your time, because likely it's no, like you won't be wasting your time in comparison to procrastinating. That's the actual waste of time. So acting and failing is way better than not doing anything at all. And that's obvious, but people don't understand it until they hear the comparisons of their own life. So that they don't even understand how they're doing that wrong. So they hear these motivational quotes and they don't see it in the examples of their day. So the example of your day would be you have these 3 free hours and you are fucking around instead of like doing actions and not knowing where they lead to. And sometimes you have to act without even knowing. So I'm going to use the content example because that's what I do. My 3 free hours, I don't know how my reality can like turn into something more special. I just choose to create goals for myself. And I actually had to talk with my buddy at the cafe about this. I was writing these video ideas. He has a brother who's like depressed. Like I think his depression really just stems from his inability to create his own goals. So he lays in bed all day and he's on medication. And instead of writing down things that he can progress to in his life, he is coping and like sitting in his bed in dark rooms being depressed. The better action is to craft your reality and create dreams that like, or create goals that lead to a dream that might not even end up being what you think, but sometimes it'll likely even be better than you expected. So you have this dream in your head, this vision, but creating goals and actually making little steps over time might lead you to a better vision than you had in mind for yourself, because God sees better potential for you than you do. And so when you're taking the right steps through action, God helps you on your journey. And yeah, so creating your own goals. It's like you're creating your own reality. There's that Steve Jobs quote. I don't know if anyone's seen it. You probably know what I'm talking about if you've seen Steve Jobs videos, where he's like, you have a ripple effect on reality. If you poke, waves come out, right? Like you have that. Everyone on earth has that ability. And so you should always take the initiative to have a ripple effect in the world, but also do something positive, of course. But that's for another video. The next subject or talking point within this list is being attached to social norms. And so this is another trap that goes into thinking about your future. People have these internal dreams for themselves. They think that they can be successful, famous, whatever it is. They have this dream of where they can get to. But one of the things that stops them is how other people perceive they should fit in society. So, excuse me. People think that they should get married by a certain age. They think that they need to hang out with their friends X amount. And I like this. It's like David Goggins, I think it was. And maybe Kobe said it too. All the ambitious people said it. The best progress is being hyper obsessed with something and mastering it to its full degree. Okay? So the people who actually are greats at something, they don't like filter out their time with all this bullshit. Like, people need to learn how to say no to things just because society makes you think you should expect to have those in your routine, your weekly routine. People tell you should be going out once a weekend and hanging out with your friends at a young age. That you don't want to regret not spending time with people. That stuff happens naturally, even if you're hyper obsessed. Like, there will be a time where you work so hard, you're like, fuck it, I have to go see my family or I have to go see my friends. But you should not be saying yes all the time. There are so many times people are wasting their life by saying yes to things because, like, FOMO of, like, standards that aren't even real, okay? Kanye West talked about that once. Yeah, whatever. He talked about how, like, a child who's young jumps on the table and he views it as this creative thing. Like, he's having fun jumping on the table, and then people are telling him, no, you can't do that. And although that might be a safe thing, this continuously happens in your life with other ways, and now you have all these barriers placed up in front of you about how you think you need to move through life, and it's holding you back from being yourself. So the more you fall into these standards, the less you are speaking and acting authentically. And the more you act authentically and act, you actually start to see your potential. Like it's like carving out a statue, like a Greek, whatever, statue. So learning to say no to things that internally you want to say no to is one of the best decisions you can make for your future. You are holding yourself back in that regard. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I just really want people to understand that I said this in a recent video where I was talking about how I met influencers, and most of them were stupid, except a few. And meeting influencers has taught me that the best thing you can do in your life is act. Acting is the only way to success, and it's actually rewarded now. That like acting, even if it's not as high quality, that is where we've gotten to with short form content and just content in general, and not just content, but life. Like that, I see my friends who own businesses. Like my buddy owns a landscaping business. The more he acts, the more money he starts to make on clients, and instead of just sitting at home. Like the days he went out and didn't know what the fuck he's doing, he somehow manages to get a 50K client, right? So with that being said, I think the main lesson of this is you need to learn how to adding action into your routine and find something that you can do every single day. Every single day. And there's going to be days where you fail. And that's just, it is what it is. Oh, there's days where it's not as good as some other days. But over time, it will compound into something that will change your life. So stop thinking about the future and start acting, and then reflect here and there, and you'll start to learn way more about how to move in your life. And if you do stuff that's right, and then you have a day like once a month where you reflect, you'll start to gather so much information about what's the right thing to do, and you'll act even better going forward. More action leads to more lessons, and then reflecting on the lessons leads to better routine, okay? Thinking about your future is ruining your life. Start acting.